Hey everyone, it's Lenka here again with another video, and in this one I ask you on my Instagram to ask me questions. I'm a senior software engineer, I'm a content creator, and you're interested in my life and in me as a person. So I hope this video somehow helps you, motivates you, helps you on your journey, helps you decide in whether to do or do not do something. So without further ado, let's get started. And let's grab a drink. I have an iced latte here. Let's just sit down, relax, and enjoy the video. Okay, first question, are you a freelance or working in a company? I've never been a freelancer. I don't think it's something that I want to be because I just want to have some kind of stability in my life, and I already have so much stress with content creation that I couldn't imagine being a freelancer. Obviously, I do have a company for content creation, but other than that, I'm fully employed and I am not a freelancer. I'm working for one company, and I just wouldn't want the additional stress in my life. Of course, it can be great if you really know how to communicate with people and if you really know how to get your deals. But I don't think that is something for me, since I am a huge introvert and I'm not really the person who likes to talk to other people. So that's maybe the downside, but that's the way I am. So I just wouldn't enjoy the feeling of being a freelancer because I would have to communicate with people a lot, which is not something I like to do, especially not with people who I don't know. So it is definitely a great way to have your kind of flexible working hours. You can probably also earn more money depending on how smart you are. So it's definitely a good way for a lot of people, but just personally not for me. So I am working in a company. From which university did you software engineer? Okay, so where did I study? I studied at the Slovak University of Technology in Bratislava at the Faculty of Informatics and Information Technologies. And I studied my bachelor's, so 3 years in computer engineering. Then I studied 2 years in computer science to get my master's degree. And then I studied for 3 years to get my PhD. It was something under 3 years, but yeah, and I have a PhD in computer science. I didn't study anywhere abroad, which I do regret a bit, but you know, it was also comfortable to study in my native language and to get to know a lot of people along the way who are still my friends, and I still meet with them, and it's just a different experience. It felt like family, it felt like home, and I didn't have to leave it and kind of leave my life behind in some other country and come back home or just stay in the other country. So I have my family, I have my friends here, and it's all fine. Don't forget to drink your drink. C or C++? Both are great, powerful languages, but I would definitely go for C++ since it's still getting updated. You have a gorgeous, huge community of software engineers. It's still getting new and new features, which are absolutely mind-blowing. So I think coding in C++, if you really can code, then coding in C++ is such a great experience because you are in charge of everything, and everything you do or don't do is your fault. So it's a great, powerful language. It's still getting updated. Modern C++ is everything. So definitely C++. What's your native language? My native language is Slovak, since I was born in Slovakia, but I lived in Austria with my parents for, I guess, 10 years before I moved back to Slovakia and then back to Austria. So I do also speak a bit of German. Do you do open source contributions? No. I wanted to do open source before I got my first job, but somehow life was quicker and I got my first job in software engineering before I was able to contribute to open source. And when I say before, I was able because I was studying and didn't have much time. I just didn't feel like it was the right time, and now I know that I don't have the time. If I weren't a content creator, then definitely I would have the time to do open source contributions, but since I am a content creator and since it is my hobby, then I have to sacrifice something else. So that's how life works. So I'm not doing any open source contributions, but I wanted for a long time. So if you do open source contribution, it's great also for your profile as a software engineer. That's always something you can bring up when you're being hired. So that's something what's gonna give you that plus extra point for your recruiters and your team. Which programming languages do you know? I know a lot of them because I studied at my university, and basically almost every course was in a different language. So I went from C to Java to C# to assembly to like embedding languages to like, for example, System C and VHDL to what did I have? I had some JavaScript, I had Python. I actually had a lot of projects in C#. So for example, databases, I had that in C#. Then I had game development and Unity also in C#. So I did do a lot. Oh, and I also did some mobile development and Flutter. So yeah, it's a lot. Oh, and I forgot my C++. Yes, I also did some projects in C++. I didn't have to, but I did because I just was interested in C++. And then I did courses like parallel programming and these things in C++. How much is your salary? I did do a video where I answered this question. You can have a look at it. It's probably titled like how much do I earn or something like that. The only thing I'm gonna say in this video is that it's probably less than you imagine because I live in Slovakia/Austria, and the cost of life is a lot lower here than somewhere else. But still, I think it's a really good salary for where I live. It's always difficult to like compare salaries because you have to take in so many aspects, like where you live, what you do you like the work you're doing? You might be getting paid a lot, but if you don't like the job, then ultimately, like, what's the point, you know? So you always have to sacrifice something. So maybe I'm sacrificing a little bit of money because I want to do what I want to do. I want to learn programming. Can you give me an advice on how to get started? If you're not in any kind of university or you don't do any courses and stuff, then the best way to start for me, or in my opinion, would be to start with a project you would want to do. For example, in my case, I always wanted to do mobile apps. So I was like, one day I want to be able to code an app. So that was kind of like my motivation towards going forward. So I would just look for resources and find a way how to do it. So nowadays you have so many resources which are free, so you don't have to take any courses, nothing. You have so many YouTubers who are doing great content on coding, and you also have ChatGPT. So once you like get through the basics, then you can use ChatGPT to like bring your own project to life. And of course, there are gonna be some mistakes in what ChatGPT tells you to do and if it really works or it doesn't work, but that's also a way of learning. You start to evaluate whether the response from ChatGPT or another model is valid, and then you also start to think. So it kind of also develops your thinking in that way. So I don't think that using ChatGPT is bad for learning programming. I think it is great because it gives you the dialogue, so you can ask questions and really understand the topic. Because when you have a simple course, you're not able to ask why this is like written like it is written and what it means. Whereas you can ask ChatGPT and it usually gives you really good responses to such questions. Do you feel Java is tough to learn? No, I don't think Java is tough to learn. It was tough to learn for me when I was going from C to Java because I was switching to object-oriented programming, and it is a bit something else than procedural programming, but I think that Java is a very simple language to learn. How many bugs will I find if I test your code? Probably many. There are bugs everywhere. There are bugs in the biggest software there is. So bugs are everywhere and they need to be fixed. So if you find bugs in my code, good for me and good for you. What do you do in your job? How do you work? Please provide me some details. I am a software engineer. So what I do is software engineering. So I am writing code for the majority of the day. I don't really like having meetings, so I only have the most necessary meetings there are. What the software architecture should look like, for example, what the database schemas should look like. So we have some brainstorming on that, then how to implement certain features and stuff. So these are the meetings I do have. Then of course there's some company meetings as well, but those aren't that common. And for the majority of the day, I simply code the features. So there's not much to it, I guess. I drink my coffee while I code, I have break for my lunch, and I'm just in my zone, I'm just in my space. So there's really not that much to it. This is a funny thing actually. When I got my first job, I was so into coding, then I was like, wow, like you are paying me to like code, like isn't that the best thing ever? Of course, I also have times when I'm totally burnt out. It happens to everyone, and it's completely normal. But this is basically what my day looks like. I code. Do you have any plastic surgeries, or are you planning to have some? No, I am against plastic surgeries. It's okay if you are someone who is having huge insecurities, or if you had an injury, or if something bad happened to you. If you have bad genetics in a certain way that you say that it is really impacting your life and that you would feel much, much better if that wouldn't be the case, then it's totally normal. But I think that I was pretty lucky in the way I look. This is pretty difficult for me to say because I don't think in my eyes that I don't know how pretty. And I do have my insecurities, but I know that there are people who have it far worse, and that I can consider myself lucky. And I don't like when influencers get plastic surgeries or anything done to their appearance just because they have their insecurities, because I think everyone has their insecurities, and if you're an influencer, you should be showing other people that you also have insecurities, but you're fine with them because everyone has insecurities. But when like every influencer is getting their wrinkles filled, their lips filled, their nose done, etc., I'm like, wow, like great for you, I guess, but you're doing nothing for other people. Like you're only telling them that the way you looked was not okay, even though it was totally okay and they were looking up to you. So I am totally against plastic surgeries. I could never imagine myself having a plastic surgery, because every time someone says like, I want to get something done, like my friend told me she wanted to get LASIK surgery, like for her eyesight. And the first thing I did was that I went to the internet and I literally watched the surgery. Like there are videos of the surgery and how it's performed, and there are really good resources on that. And a lot of stories of people saying that it was their worst decision in their lives. Also, a lot of people saying it was the best decision. But what I wanted to say with that is that I really have a look at what is being done, because when you look at how the operations are performed, it's pretty ugly, and I don't want anybody do that to my body, like my body, my temple, you know. So no, I'm not planning anything. I haven't had anything done. Here's a question about what I'm saying about F1. So yesterday was the Miami GP where Lando Norris won his first GP, so I was pretty happy for him, and I think a lot of drivers were also very happy for him. So I do watch F1 regularly. I watch every race, I watch every qualifying if I can. I also watch the practice sessions, but not all of them, but I try to watch as much as possible. I was to the Austrian GP in Spielberg a few years ago. I really enjoyed it, and I would love to go again, but currently there's no budget for it. I was a huge Lewis Hamilton fan. I used to hate Max for his behavior, but I think over the years he's become better. And now I really like how his personality has evolved, and I would be glad if he would go to Mercedes, because that's my favorite team. Do you advise me to get a PhD? I'm AI engineer student. I do have a video on my PhD journey, so it would probably be best if you would have a look at it, since I talk about it for a longer period of time, and I talk about a lot of aspects of PhD. So there is no general answer to if you should or shouldn't get a PhD. It highly depends on whether you want to do research and what you want to do afterwards, because if you just want to do AI for a certain company, then you probably don't need to have a PhD degree, although if you want to work for big corporations like probably Google, then yes, probably you do need to have a PhD, and generally the higher the title, the higher position you can be at least that's what it's like in my region. So it highly depends. Like sometimes for some people it can be a huge waste of time, because for 3 or more years you're focused on research and you're not coding that much, so you're not pushing yourself forward in those aspects, so it can feel like you're left behind. It highly depends. Your favorite song? I don't think I have a favorite song, but I really like Måneskin and rock music in general. Your favorite programming language? I code a lot in C#, Python, and C++. I've got the most experience in C#, but I would say my favorite language is C++, because that's the language for which I say I like coding in it. How do you maintain your work-life balance? You're so fit after being a working professional and a content creator. Oh, my PC just said goodbye. First of all, thank you so much. This means the world to me, because it is really a hassle. So yeah, it's just difficult. It's difficult to say, because you're working, and then when other people are enjoying their lives and having hobbies or spending time with their family and friends, then I'm doing content creation, which again is a lonely job. And you have to film the content. First of all, you need to know what you're filming, then you have to film the content, cut the content, color grade it. You have to have a good sound, you know, a good studio. It's a lot of work for content creation, especially when you're dealing with brand deals, since you also have to do the bad part, which is emailing with clients, invoicing, going through campaign briefs, etc. So it's a lot of your time. And fitness, well, that's just discipline. Like you tell yourself that you're going to work out every other day, and you do work out every other day. Like, you create a habit, and then it's easy. So working and fitness is pretty easy to combine. And also, like, don't try to overeat. That's a bad thing. I did that for a long time, and it didn't end well. And then you're just in depression and stuff. So just have a look at what you're eating, or at least at how much you're eating. Which application are you using for video editing? I am getting so many hate comments for this, because I am a full-time software engineer. I'm behind my computer a lot, and when I'm doing content creation, that's my hobby. So when I'm editing videos, I just want to feel cozy and comfortable, so I'm doing that on my iPad, yes. And I'm doing that in LumaFusion. A lot of people have told me that I should try DaVinci, so that's like my next goal. But editing in LumaFusion is honestly so easy, and I get everything what I need done. So I don't know, I'll see, but yeah, I do edit on my iPad. What makes you a software engineer? Interesting question. I studied software engineering and I engineer software. I guess that makes me a software engineer. There's so many good questions that I'm probably gonna just save these for later and do another video. But let's get to the last question, and it's, how does your ideal job or occupation look like? Schedule, team/solo, tech, etc. Probably doing machine learning, but also coding a lot in C++. So kind of like combining it and creating cutting edge models and working for a smaller company, but creating cutting edge software, especially AI models, would be just the ideal job for me. That would be really fun, and I wouldn't be stuck in a corporate role. If I want to work solo or in a team, I like working solo a lot since I don't have to talk to other people, but working in a small team where you know each other and you know the other person's weaknesses is very beneficial because you're not alone for the job. So you can get a lot more ideas, you can talk about your solutions, so that's great. And regarding tech, I would love to code in C++ and combine that with PyTorch or TensorFlow for machine learning. There's a bonus question I'm gonna answer because I just found it and it's pretty interesting. So, if I knew how to code before studying at university, would I go study or work instead? Many people say that university is just a waste of time. I don't agree, because university has taught me a lot, and university has taught me things or has forced me to learn things that I would otherwise probably never look up. So I have this broad knowledge of everything, almost everything. Of course, you cannot know everything, but we did a part of like everything, so I know that it has given me such a good starting point for my career, and I probably wouldn't want to switch because I think it has given me so much. Like, obviously, if you already know how to code and if you know a lot about software engineering, if you know a lot about tech in general, then probably it would be a waste of time for you. And if you know which questions to ask, if you know what to look for, then I think that it might really be a waste of time for you. But if you don't know where to start, if you don't know what you would like to do in your life, then I think that university can give you a really good overview and you can choose your path and also maybe get you a better job or at least get you a better position over time, since here in my area you still get a higher position if you do have a degree than if you don't have a degree. Of course, you can like get the degree later when you need it, but this way you already have it. So it highly depends, but I would definitely still go to university if I had the chance, and I have so many unforgettable memories from there. I got to know so many incredible people that I just wouldn't want to switch. Okay, that's it. Thanks a lot for watching this video. If you like my content, if you think it is valuable, then please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!